Hello, in this segment we're going to take a look at some implementation considerations for the tools and technology that we use in support of service management throughout the service lifecycle, and whether we're looking at service management technology from an enterprise integrated suite of tools or perhaps from tools that are targeted at a specific lifecycle stage such as test and validation tools for service transition or design modeling tools for service design. We want to make sure that we are enabled to get the types of benefits and optimization that the business is looking for. And so one of the ways that we can really get the types of business value for the cost of the technology is through automation and the integration of our processes. And that's really when we're going to get these types of cost savings and increased productivity that you see here in bullet 4. But before we can automate, we have to prepare for the automation. And in preparation, we have to simplify those processes. That was Ford's model, which ultimately resulted in the assembly line. And we want to take kind of that same mentality and that same approach to ensure that we have a clearly defined set of roles, responsibilities, repeatable activities, and not a lot of deviation in the outcomes and the performance of our processes. And then we can look at the technology requirements. And the technology requirements might be defined by taking this CSI approach of where are we now, where do we want to be, and how are we going to get there, but making sure that we look not only at the processes and procedures, but the people that are going to be performing those activities in the policies and procedures and are going to be using the technology. Don't let the technology or the tool drive your business. Remember, it's process first, and the tool supports the process. So we might use this method called Moscow, where we can weight our requirements. Certainly, the things that we must have will be weighted very differently than those things that we should have or could have, or perhaps those things that we won't have but would like to have. And so we can use this Moscow, MSCW, methodology in order to ensure that we give appropriate weight to the requirements in support of our processes and business outcomes. And all of these technology requirements will be documented in a statement of requirements. We have to make sure that we have integratable, if not an integrated suite of products, but we also have to look at in the requirements, will this product or technology conform to our standards and legal and governance compliance requirements? How flexible is the technology? How will it be backed up, and how will we make sure that it's secure and control access in order to get the kind of scalability and usability that the requirements state? Once we have the requirements, then we can evaluate and select the technology. Using those requirements in the statement of requirements to identify products, and then, yes, getting to this evaluation to get to a short list of vendors and products that will meet our needs. But the most important part is this, the scoring and ranking, prioritizing the vendors and the products in order to ensure, yes, that we get the best value for the cost, but also that we get the best product for ease of use. For example, how easy will it be used to customize? Am I getting 80% of what my requirements are, and maybe I just have to customize 20%? And when I have to customize or configure the tool, is it going to be a very cryptic type of usability, or will I be able to maybe use a point-and-click type of GUI for that tool? And once I get the vendor and the product selected, then I can start looking at planning and implementing that technology. And when implementing, I'm going to use the same controls that I would for any change or release. So it would go through configuration, change, and release management with the tools being updated to the configuration management system. But take a look at some of the things that you'd have to consider when implementing. Will I be replacing existing technology? Is it a complete new technology refresh? And if so, what data has to be retained? And how will I manage the information and the migration of that data? And perhaps I need to run some of the technology in parallel with the new technology in order to migrate that. So a risk analysis will have to be performed through your change assessment to ensure the appropriate warranty of availability and continuity are also addressed for the technology. And then also when implementing, looking at what is the right time to deploy. How is your organizational readiness? Might you have to perform some management of organizational change activities in order to ensure that the soil is ready, so to speak? Have your staff really bought into your processes and, more importantly, the new technology? And how will you manage your licenses? Think about the license structures. Many of these integrated suites of service management tool have a modular approach to licensing, and that can be very expensive. So when considering your license structures, will you have dedicated or shared licenses? Will you be getting access perhaps through web or service on demand type of mechanisms? You'll have to consider what is the purpose of the technology, who's going to be using it, what kind of mechanism are they using to access the technology, and what is the best consideration for the licensing to ensure that we get the best value for the cost, not only in the tool requirements, but also in the licensing requirements. And remember that the technology is not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve all your problems. The tools are in support of the process, and not only the processes and procedures, but also the people who are performing the activities and using the technology. Thank you very much for attending. We look forward to seeing you in class where we'll discuss more about technology and the activities throughout the service lifecycle.